This is the story of Lamy, the quiet cousin they mocked, the girl they dismissed at every family gathering, the one they thought had nothing going for her, until the investor everyone was bragging about walked straight into the party, ignored every proud face in the room, and said two words that changed everything. Where is Lamy? Before we begin this emotional journey of betrayal, silence, truth, and unexpected victory, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this powerful story. Lamy stood near the gate of the rented event hall, fingers pressing the side of her worn handbag, watching guests pour in with loud greetings and perfume-heavy hugs. Her mother's birthday banner hung crooked above the entrance. Happy 60th, Mama Dara. The hall glittered with gold cloth and fake flowers, yet inside Lamy felt small. Her gown was simple, ironed twice at home. Everyone else seemed dipped in money. She had almost stayed back in her tiny room, but her mother had called and said, "At least show face, Lamy. People will talk if you don't come."
So she came.
Now she watched cars park one by one, especially expecting one particular black SUV, the car of the investor everyone in the family had been whispering about all week. Inside the hall, her cousin Pola screamed, "DJ, higher volume," as she danced in the middle of the room like it was her own party. Pola wore a bright red dress that sparkled under the colored lights. Every time she turned, her earrings flashed like tiny knives. Lamy walked slowly to a corner seat, hoping nobody would notice her late arrival. But Pola's eyes caught her, and a sharp smile spread across her face. "NN, look who finally decided to honor us with her presence," Pola said loudly. Guests nearby turned to look. Lamy forced a smile and said softly, "Good evening, Pola. You're looking fine." Pola flipped her hair and replied, "Of course. Some of us actually have lives to dress for." Lamy's mother, Dara, stood near the cake table, wrapped in a gold lace wrapper and head tie that nearly brushed the balloons. She noticed the attention and called out, "Lamy, come and greet people, nah. Don't stand there like visitor." Lamy walked slowly, feeling eyes on her. Aunties whispered behind their cups. One of them, Auntie Mago, said, not quietly enough, "That's the one that is always doing online. No husband, no real job. Only phone." Pola laughed loudly and added, "Don't mind her, Auntie. She is CEO of Typing and Dreaming Limited." Laughter scattered around like dropped coins. Lamy's cheeks burned, but she bit her tongue. Tonight was her Mother's Day. She had promised herself not to create drama. "Good evening, Ma," Lamy said, bending slightly to greet Auntie Mago and the others. "Evening," they replied in that way older people use when they want to remind you that you are still nothing. Dara pulled Lamy closer by the wrist. "Smile small, my child. People are watching," she whispered. Lamy forced a smile that hurt her jaw. "Mummy, do you need help?" she asked. "Yes, go and help Pola with the drinks," Dara said. "She has been coordinating since morning. You know she's the organized one." The words stung more than the mocking. Lamy nodded. "Okay, Ma." She walked toward the bar table where Pola stood like a commander, giving orders to servers in black and white. As Lamy approached, Pola turned with a sly grin. Assistant has finally come," she said. "Please help us count the plastic cups. At least you can manage that." A few young cousins snickered. Lamy took a deep breath. "No problem," she replied calmly. Her fingers started counting the stack of cups, one by one. Pola leaned closer, so only she could hear. "So, Madam Online," she whispered, "have you finally found one real job? Or are you still waiting for Miracle Alert?" Lamy's hands paused, then continued. "I'm working on something," she said quietly. "It's growing." Pola rolled her eyes. "Please, a beg. All this your startup. Even yesterday, Uncle said no investor will look at someone like you." The DJ slowed the music, and someone announced that food was ready. Guests formed a noisy line, balancing plates, asking for extra meat. Lamy moved away from the bar, needing space to breathe. She stood near a window and watched the gate through the glass. Her chest tightened each time a car passed. She remembered the last call she had with the investor, Mr. Kalin. "I'll try to attend," he had said. "I like to see where my partners come from." It tells me their story. Partner. That word had scared and thrilled her. She had spent 2 years building her small online platform for village women who produce local snacks, linking them with city buyers. Many nights without sleep. Many mornings of doubt. Behind her, Pola's voice rose again. Everybody, please, I want to make small announcement. She shouted into the microphone meant for the MC. The hall quieted. Lamy turned slowly, stomach sinking. I just want to thank my dear auntie, our birthday queen, Pola said, walking to stand beside Dara. Mummy, you know I love you. I am trying my best to make you proud. Some of us are working hard, not just pressing phone in one room. Faces turned toward Lamy again. Pola continued, for example, next week I have big meeting about import business. Serious investor from abroad is coming. Not all these fake audio investors that live only in phone. The jab was direct. A few people laughed, and some shook their heads in that pitying way. Dara smiled awkwardly, glancing at Lamy. Pola, it's okay, she said softly. But Pola was enjoying herself. Let me not say too much, she added, laughing into the microphone. I only know that when this investor arrives, he will know who is serious in this family. She dropped the mic dramatically and walked past Lamy, giving her a quick, victorious smirk. Lamy felt the words dig into old wounds, memories of her father telling her to study something reasonable, memories of siblings calling her stubborn for leaving office work. She closed her eyes briefly and inhaled, counting to 5, then exhaled. You knew they would not understand, she reminded herself silently. The evening pushed forward. People ate, danced, and dragged chairs noisily. Lamy helped serve food, collect used plates, and direct lost guests. At one point, she bumped into a waiter, and stew splashed on her gown.
Ah.
Sorry, madam, the boy cried. Pola appeared almost immediately. See now, you cannot even walk well, she said. Go outside and clean yourself. You're stressing my event plan. Lamy clenched her jaw. It is Mummy's event, not yours, she replied quietly. Pola snapped her fingers. Everything here passed through me. Even the investor's contact, they sent it to me. Not you. Somewhere deep inside, Lamy almost laughed. If only Pola knew the truth about who brought the investor to Nigeria. Lamy stepped outside into the cooler night air, trying to clean the stain with tissue and water from a bottle. The music echoed faintly from inside. She stared up at the sky, where a few weak stars fought against city light. Her phone buzzed in her bag. She wiped her hands and pulled it out. A new message. Her heart jumped when she saw the name, Kalen, just arrived. At the gate. Her throat went dry. He actually came. For a moment, fear wrapped around her. What if she embarrassed him? What if her family acted wild? What if Pola tried to claim him? She typed quickly, fingers trembling. I'm coming to meet you. She hurried to the gate, trying to brush invisible dust off her gown. A black SUV was parked outside, lights off. A tall man in a simple dark suit stood beside it, checking his watch. When he saw her, his face softened into a smile. Lamy, he said warmly. You made it, she replied, then immediately felt silly. He was the one who came. He chuckled. I told you I keep my promises, even for birthday parties. She smiled shyly. Thank you for coming, sir. Please, I told you no, sir, he said. It's Kalen. Tonight, I'm just your guest. She nodded slowly. Okay, Kalen. The name felt both strange and familiar on her tongue. They walked toward the hall together. At the entrance, one of Lamy's younger cousins saw them and ran inside with wide eyes, obviously ready to spread the news. Lamy stopped before they entered. I need to warn you, she said quietly. My family, they don't really understand what I'm doing yet. Some of them may say things. Kalen looked at her calmly. Lamy, I invest in people, not in perfect families, he replied. Do you trust your work? She hesitated, then nodded. Yes. Good, he said. Then walk in with your head up. Tonight, I want them to see the woman I'm partnering with, not just their quiet cousin. He pushed the door gently open. The hall seemed to inhale when they stepped in. Conversations dropped. Even the DJ lowered the music for a second. Kalen was not just tall. He had that calm, expensive look that made people straighten their clothes. His suit had no loud logo, but everyone could smell money and importance. Pola, standing near the cake, froze mid-laugh. Aunties leaned toward one another, whispering, "Is that him? Is that the investor?" Dara's eyes widened as she took in the sight of her simple daughter walking beside this stranger with quiet confidence. Lami suddenly became aware of how many eyes were on her. Her palms grew sweaty, but she remembered his words and lifted her chin. Pola recovered first. She grabbed the microphone again. "Welcome, sir," she called, her voice too sweet. Please, DJ, reduce the music. This is the investor he talked about, right?" She walked quickly toward them, heels clicking. Before Lami could speak, Pola stepped in front, blocking her slightly, hand stretched out. "Sir, you are highly welcome. I am Pola, the one in charge of business here. I've heard so much about your company. I hope your flight was fine." Kalen looked at her hand, then at her face, polite but distant. "Good evening," he said. "Nice to meet you." Pola's smile stretched wider. "We are so honored. Please come and sit at the high table with Mummy and I." Kalen's eyes shifted to Lami. "Actually," he said calmly, letting the word hang in the air, "I think there is a small confusion." The hall quieted more. Even the clinking of plates stopped. "Confusion?" Pola repeated, still smiling but with tight lips. Kalen nodded.
Yes.
"I'm here to see my partner." He stepped slightly aside, so he could see Lami fully. "Lami," he said clearly, the microphone catching his voice. "Is she around?" Heads turned sharply toward Lami. Her heart pounded. Aunties who had laughed minutes ago now stared as if seeing her for the first time. Dara's mouth parted, and her hand went unconsciously to her chest. Lami swallowed, then took one step forward. "I'm here," she said softly. Kalen smiled, genuine and proud. "Ah, good," he replied. "I was worried I came to the wrong place." Pola blinked. "Wait," she said slowly, laughter gone from her voice. "You mean, Lami?" Kalen nodded.
Yes.
"I'm Kalen, the investor she has been working with for her platform. We signed preliminary terms last month." He stretched out his hand toward Lami, ignoring the microphone now shaking slightly in Pola's grip. "It's good to see you again, Director," he added, using the title they had agreed for her role. The word director flew across the hall like a spark in dry grass. "Director?" someone echoed from the back. Dara stepped forward, eyes filled with confusion and something else. Fear, maybe. "Excuse me, sir," she said gently. "I am her mother. Maybe there is a small mistake. My daughter, she is not working yet. She is still trying to find her feet." Kalen looked at her respectfully. "Madam, with all due respect, your daughter is not just working. She is building something powerful," he said. "Her platform already connects over 200 local women who produce snacks and crafts to buyers in 3 cities. We are investing to help her expand. That is why I came to show my support for her today." The words dropped like stones into a silent river. Pola's hand fell from the microphone. But she told us she was just testing something," she stammered. "She is the one always begging for data money. How can she be?" She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. Lami finally found her voice. "I wasn't begging," she said quietly but clearly. "I was investing everything I had. I just didn't talk about it because every time I shared my idea, people laughed." She turned slightly, eyes moving from Pola to Auntie Mago and then to Dara. "I didn't want to hear again that I was useless or unrealistic. So I kept building in silence." Kalen nodded slowly, as if confirming her words. "Sometimes the strongest plans are the ones built in quiet," he said. "Your daughter has done more with a small phone and stubborn faith than many people do with big offices." He turned to address the crowd, his voice calm but firm. "You should be proud of her." The aunties shifted uncomfortably. One uncle cleared his throat. Dara's eyes grew wet. Pola forced a laugh that sounded wrong. "It's not that we are not proud," she said quickly. We thought she was wasting time." Lami watched her, feeling something heavy and old begin to loosen inside her chest. The MC, sensing both danger and opportunity, rushed forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," he boomed, trying to lighten the mood, "let us welcome our special guest, Mr. Kalen, yes? And also celebrate our own Director Lamy." People clapped, some softly, some loudly, half from shock, half from fear of looking foolish. The DJ played a soft instrumental. Kalen gestured politely. "Please," he said to Lamy, "can you show me where to sit?" Lamy nodded and led him toward the high table. For the first time in her life, she walked through a crowd that parted for her, not around her. Whispering trailed her steps like a second dress. At the high table, there were only 3 empty chairs, one beside Dara, one next to Pola, and one slightly apart. Kalen looked at the arrangement, then at Lamy. "Where do you usually sit?" he asked softly. She hesitated. "Normally, I sit at the side, sir. Sorry, Kalen." She corrected herself. He smiled. "Not tonight," he said. He pulled back the chair beside Dara and waited. "Please sit here," he told Lamy. The hall watched as she slowly sat beside her mother. Then he took the chair next to her. Pola, standing on the other side of the table, clenched her jaw, nails digging into the satin of her dress. Dara leaned closer to Lamy, voice trembling. "My child," she whispered, "why didn't you tell me it was like this?" Lamy looked at her mother's face, at the lines carved there by worry and pride, and sometimes stubborn blindness. "Mummy, each time I tried," she replied quietly. "You told me to stop dreaming and go and look for office work. You said no serious person will invest in me. I got tired of begging you to see me." Dara's eyes filled. "I was afraid for you," she murmured. "I didn't want you to waste your life like your father's younger brother did with his music. I thought I was protecting you." While they spoke, Pola came closer to Kalen, her voice sugary again. "Sir, sorry, Kalen," she said, copying Lamy's tone. "I also have business idea I want to share with you. Import and export of designer bags, big volume. Maybe after party we can talk." She smiled, tilting her head. Kalen looked at her politely. "I'm sure you have interesting ideas," he said. "But tonight, I am here for one reason." He looked at Lamy again. "My schedule is tight. I came to honor our partnership and also to meet the woman whose courage impressed me. Maybe another time we could discuss other things, but not tonight." Pola's smile cracked slightly. The cake-cutting moment arrived. Guests gathered around with phones raised, ready to capture the perfect picture. The MC called names loudly. "Our birthday queen, Mama Dara. Her favorite niece, Pola." Pola moved quickly to stand beside Dara. And finally, the MC hesitated, glancing at Kalen's serious face. "Our rising star and director, Lamy." Gasps followed her name. Lamy stepped forward slowly. For the first time, nobody tried to push her out of the frame. When they lifted the knife, Dara held Lamy's hand as tightly as she held Pola's. Flashlights sparked. Someone at the back muttered, "Ah, sea life." The one they mocked is now the one investor followed. After the cake and song, as people moved back to their seats, Pola cornered Lamy near the drinks table. "So you were forming nothing all this while?" she hissed in a low voice. "You couldn't even tell your own cousin?" Lamy looked at her calmly. "Whenever I told you anything," she replied, "you turned it into joke for the whole family. You called me Madam Audio Project. Would you have suddenly believed me?" Pola's face twisted. "You made me look stupid tonight," she snapped. "You did that yourself," Lamy said softly. "I didn't ask you to use me as your clown." Pola opened her mouth, then closed it, eyes glittering with a mix of anger and something like shame. Nearby, Auntie Mago approached, smile hesitant. "Lamy," she began, "you know old people talk sometimes without understanding. Don't mind all those things we used to say. We were just joking." Lamy gave a small, tired smile. "Auntie, it's okay," she said. "I'm not keeping anybody in my mind. But I'm also not going to reduce myself again just to make anyone comfortable." Auntie Mago shifted and used to such clear boundaries from the quiet girl. "And yes," she muttered, "you are right. Just remember us when you blow, oh." Lamy shook her head. "If you want a contract," she replied gently, Talk to my team when we are ready, not to my emotions." Then she excused herself and walked away. Later, Lamy and Kalen sat at a small table at the edge of the hall, away from the loud music. He sipped water while watching her face carefully. "How are you feeling?" he asked. She laughed weakly. "Like I'm standing in the middle of a storm that suddenly stopped," she said. "All my life, they called me quiet and useless. Tonight they're calling me director because they saw you." Kalen nodded slowly. "Does that bother you?" She thought for a moment. "It hurts," she admitted. "But it also reminds me that my value didn't start tonight. It started when I kept working, even when nobody clapped." Kalen leaned back. "Good," he said. "Because someday, I may not be in the room when you succeed, and they must still call you by your true name. What happened tonight is just light revealing what was already there." He paused. "One more thing," he added. "If you want, we can organize a small presentation next week for any of the women here who want to join your platform. It might help them see you as leader, not just daughter." Lamy smiled, something new and steady shining in her eyes. "I would like that," she said. "But only the ones who respect the work. I'm done begging for belief." As the party thinned and chairs scraped against the floor, Dara walked slowly to where Lamy sat. Her gold head tie was slightly crooked now, and her feet were tired. She looked smaller without the noise around her. "Lamy," she said quietly, "can we talk?" Kalen stood up politely. "I'll give you both a moment," he said. He moved away.
Dara sat down.
"When your father died, I became afraid of everything," she began. "Afraid of poverty, of shame, of people laughing at us. When you started talking about online platform, it sounded like risk I could not see. So I tried to push you into something I understood. I see now that I was also pushing you away." Tears slid down Lamy's cheeks, but her voice stayed steady. "Mummy, I wanted you to believe in me, not just tolerate me until I became what you preferred," she said. Dara reached for her hand. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I still don't understand everything you are doing, but I saw that man call you partner tonight. I saw the way you stood. I don't want to be the one holding you down anymore." Lamy took a deep breath. "I forgive you," she replied softly. "But I will also protect my space now. I won't shrink again just to keep peace." Dara nodded slowly. "Then let me learn to know this new you," she said. Lamy squeezed her mother's hand, feeling at last that the quiet girl they had mocked had finally stepped into her own name. And please don't forget to tap the bell so every new folktale reaches you first. Tell us in the comments what you think about the story. And tell us where you're watching from. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this beautiful story with friends, family, and loved ones so they too can remember.